All right, so Charlie, we got some additions here to the front office,
Yeah,
and I'm assuming you're pretty familiar with both of them, right? Did you work with Marty and with Mayhew?
definitely with Marty for quite a while.
Right,
And actually, Marty was a writer when I first knew Marty, so with the
right,
Washington Times. And with Martin, we signed him in Plan B from the Buffalo Bills, so he played
right,
for us. And then one of the last things I did and wanted to do was to bring Martin into the program as an intern and train him to be a general manager. But that's when I left. So,
right.
I followed his career extensively since then, and same thing with Marty. So I know them both very, very well.
So give us your insights on both. First of all, Marty Hurney, we just talked to Rick Snyder. Rick worked with him at the Times, and it's
Yeah.
rare that a guy goes from the newspaper side to the front office to eventually become a GM.
Yeah.
What were sort of the attributes that attracted you guys to him, and throughout his career, what's impressed you about Marty Hurney?
Well, first of all, on the writer to GM, Ernie Accorsi. That's the Ernie Accorsi model, if you will, so to speak. But
Okay.
Bobby hired Marty into the PR department, and then when Bobby went to San Diego, Bethard, Marty went with him, and Marty grew out there into the football side, eventually doing a lot of salary cap work, and then going to Carolina to be the salary cap man. And then when they made a coaching change there with George Seifert, who was in total control of everything. They made Marty the general manager with his salary cap expertise, and then he continued to work on the personnel side. So that's his background. Now, Carolina, he built a winner, built a Super Bowl championship team, very good at picking high picks, and not that he wasn't good at other picks, but that's one thing that jumps out on the resume. So he's an experienced negotiator, salary cap man, manager, personality as such. He gets along with everybody. So he's not afraid to take different opinions, which is important. So it's an inclusive philosophy. He has, more importantly than that, is he has a relationship with Rivera. They've worked together. He knows how Ron thinks. Ron knows how he thinks. And that's really important when you're picking players. So now with Martin, Martin was a low-round draft choice for Buffalo. I believe he got injured his rookie year, and we signed him as again in Plan B. Which Plan B, for the people who don't understand that, it was a system where the teams protected. It was before free agency, 35 players, I guess, and everybody else was free. So we hit it big in Plan B during those couple of years there. And Martin came in here, started for us, played very well, and then when the cap came in and we had to gut the team, he ended up going to Tampa and having a good career there. So I believe he has a law degree from Georgetown. He's worked in the front office with experience in the salary cap. Went to Detroit, worked there, and then took over when they were 0-16. And not many people take over an 0-16 team. But he rebuilt them. He went to the playoffs twice with two different coaches, which is hard to do. Acquired a lot of good players there. They made a horrendous mistake when they let him go, and Jim Caldwell, and they haven't been the same since. So then he went to the Giants, got a year there in that system, went to San Francisco, and to me he had a big part in their resurrection there. So, again, he's not a high-ego guy, inclusive guy. Both of them have experience in the tradition here, which I think is good. I don't think that I don't think you have to have that to win, believe me. But it's nice to have that so they appreciate the history here and don't have it wiped out. So, which I think is important too.
So how do you think it works? I mean, it's just speculation, but if Mayhew's in the GM role, and we heard that it was going to be a coach-centric approach by Rivera, let's say they're talking about what to do at quarterback. Does Coach have the final say? How do you think it works out?
Well, I'm sure he does. And I don't know if technically Martin might have it in his contract or whatever. San Francisco wasn't going to block him for any kind of move. I guarantee you that. That's not Shanahan. As evidenced by the number of coaches that he's let go to other jobs, which are good jobs. So at the end of the day, in any system that's worth a darn, okay, the head coach would have the final say no matter what's in the contract. Bobby Beathard had final say in the draft in his contract. So did I. But we never took a player the coach didn't sign off on. And Sometimes head coaches are a little bit more involved than others. Ron will be heavily involved, I believe. I don't question that, especially in the high picks. So it's collaborative there anyway. Where it thins out, and this is what have to be figured out as you go through it, the head coach is less involved because of his knowledge of the players, depending upon the head coach. The coaches are always involved, but you don't know to what degree. So I'm guessing the coaches would be heavily involved here. And then you have to sift it through the scouts' involvement, the coaches' involvement. It can vary with pick on which one you might lean towards. But I see an inclusive group, no egos being an issue, everybody working together, and Ron being in charge.
All right, let's shift and talk about championship weekend, Charlie.
Yeah.
Tampa gets in there. Tom Brady in his 14th championship game. They played Green Bay earlier this season, beat them, pressured Aaron Rodgers a ton in that game. He threw a couple of interceptions. How do you see this one playing out?
Well, sometimes games are the same and sometimes games are different. When I'm watching Green Bay right now, the pass protection is better. I think they'll handle the pressure. Rodgers, and this may not be the best analogy, but it's a guy going, and you would understand this, men, to one of your poker deals or something like that. And I'm not familiar with all gambling terms, but this guy, he throws it, he can't miss right now. And he throws it from all angles. He throws it in all ways, and the guy can't miss. He knows the system. Green Bay told me he'd be better this year because he'd know the system better, and he'd make quicker decisions in the system. And, boy, they were right. You can throw on Tampa. If you can protect, you can throw on it. They don't play zone well. They don't play man well. They can't match up with Tampa if Green Bay protects. So that's A. Then you turn it around with Brady, and he's playing the best football of the year.
Right. Probably
as good as he's ever looked, okay? Got more weapons than he normally has. You can run on Green Bay and control the clock. The problem is, like at Tennessee, which that would have been the game plan, they couldn't stop them. They got behind. And that killed them in the game. So Green Bay can play their own time of possession, what they're going right now. So for Tampa to win, I think they've got to run the ball like they did against New Orleans, be successful, which they can, be patient, which they were a little bit more. He's going to take their shots. Now, you can beat the Green Bay corners, okay? I think you can beat them in man-to-man coverage. Even Alexander, who's their best one, he has some trouble playing the deep ball. King, you can go at him. He can beat him. They have a tight end with Green Bay who's an outstanding player who really gets overlooked, okay? It's Tunyon, I believe is his name.
Robert Tunyon, Big Bomb.
Yeah. This guy's one of the best in the league, and nobody knows it. He's hard to cover one-on-one, and they really like to throw to him in the red zone. He's hard to cover. So I think you could see a higher scoring game. Maybe the team that has the ball last can win. I'm not trying to be in the middle, but there's a way for each one of these teams to win. It's Charlie, not just like Brady's going up there and he's going to win.
Speaking of best in the league, is Matt LaFleur one of the best coaches in the league? His record says so after 2 years, 26-6 at the helm in Green Bay after just 2 seasons.
It helps to have a guy named Aaron Rodgers.
It certainly does. I mean, you can't discredit him for the quarterback he inherits.
Yeah.
No, and you have to give him credit for getting the run game and getting Rodgers, who I don't know him. I've met him when he was young, and a very nice young man, but has been rumored to be a tough guy to coach. He's a little strong-headed, okay? And yeah, I think Brady is too, probably, to say the least. Mm-hmm. But LaFleur and him have connected, and Brady and Rodgers has bought in. That's right, the positive there.
You know what I've noticed with Rodgers, just getting back to him for a second, and it's not like I've studied him, but he plays a ton of games on national TV, and we all have seen him through the years. He seems to be manipulating the field more than ever this year with pump fakes, like with his eyes. They say he's been doing that for a long time, but he just seems to be freelancing and everything. He's just making it look so easy. He looks like he's at the absolute top of his game.
I agree with everything you said. Probably what helped him was Adams getting hurt, because then he was forced to use all of the weapons. And now you see him doing that. I mean, Adams is still number one, but he's not afraid to throw to everybody else now. And they have the running game to go back to, which is very good. And you can run on Tampa. They're top in the league, but they haven't been good recently. You can run outside on them, run at the defensive ends. That's number one. People have have success running inside, but if Vita Vea comes back and can play well, that might shut that down. But you can run outside on them, which is a strength of the Green Bay running attack.
Do you give the Bills a chance in Kansas City?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. They're very well coached on defense. Their weakness is the run defense. Kansas City, they don't stick with the run, okay?
Yeah.
So Kansas City has extraordinary skill level players, but Buffalo can be very disciplined on defense and keep the ball in front of them. And if you can keep Mahomes in the pocket, which is not easy, he can become frustrated. He's a risk taker. He'll throw some up. Andy Reid will become impatient. He's a Hall of Fame coach, but he's going to get a little antsy if he can't start hitting those big plays. So if they can slow him down and stay disciplined and keep Mahomes in the pocket, okay, they have a chance to contain Mahomes along the way. And, you talk about a guy who can't miss if he went to Vegas is Josh Allen. Now, here's what Baltimore did. Held him to one touchdown. Baltimore is a blitzing team. Kansas City's a blitzing team. Baltimore changed up their coverages late so that if Dable is telling Allen what he sees and where to go with the ball, by the time Allen sees it, it's not the same. And that was their game plan. And Allen struggled last week. He struggled. He scored one touchdown because they kept changing the coverages on him late before the snap. They've got better corners than Buffalo does, so Buffalo plays a lot more zone, though, than the Ravens, so maybe they balance it that way. And they mixed in the blitz to keep them off balance. So Allen was off balance a lot of the game, and they could not get the big play because of Baltimore's corners. Now, Buffalo doesn't have the same level of corners across the board.
Charlie, real quick before we let you go, I know you don't know this, but I want you to guess. What do you think Washington wants to do at the quarterback position? Do they want to stick with Alex, which I don't think they do? Do they want to draft someone at 19 or maybe beyond that? Or do they want to go out and trade for a vet?
I think they want to get a quarterback. I like Hanky. He might be Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie, too, was a pretty good quarterback in the league.
I'm with you, Charlie.
What's that?
I'm with you. There's something special about that kid.
Yeah. He reminded me of Flutie when Flutie was good the second time around. First time around, Flutie struggled. No, they're going to be aggressive, in my opinion, go to get a quarterback. I'm not sure where they're going to get one, though. People talk about all these guys being available. I'm not sure who's going to be available. Is Darnold going to be available? Is Winston? I don't know. What's that?
What about Matt Stafford? Since Mayhew,
the connection with Mayhew.
No, he's not going to be available. Everybody I talked to went in for that job said they wanted to keep him. I can't imagine. Holmes wants to keep him. He's not going anywhere.